we're coming in. We're coming in. We're coming in. Okay,
How are we doing now?
welcome everyone from I'll connect from YouTube. If you're watching from YouTube and from LinkedIn, welcome. Welcome everyone I'll connect from YouTube. If you're watching from YouTube and from LinkedIn, uh, starting in shortly. So in the meantime, we'll allow more people to come in before we start.
YouTube is that activated already now?
Yep.
How many people already in?
Okay, YouTube appearing now. I'm checking it from my mobile. Okay, YouTube appearing now. I'm checking it from my mobile. 5 second lagging, huh? Just take note. 5 second lagging. Okay, YouTube, you got 5%. Okay, YouTube, you got 5%. So, Dr. Surana, tell us how's the weather in India now?
Oh, it's raining. It's raining in the place where I am.
Dr. Surana,
And
tell us how's the weather in India now?
oh, it's raining. It's raining in the place where I am. And I can hear the echo.
Yeah, apparently you can YouTube, right? Because I'm actually switching on my mobile. Let's go ahead, I go.
I'm not on YouTube at all.
Yeah, okay, we have some, of course, friends that just joined as well through YouTube. Mr. Mai, welcome. Welcome. Yeah, if some of you can identify yourself, at least we know who you are. So certainly look forward to welcome each of you.
For our YouTube and LinkedIn connections, if you're watching right now, please put your name or where you're coming from, which country do you originate from, on the chat, so that our speakers will be able to have a look. They will know who you are. So that our speakers will be able to have a look.
Okay, wonderful. Heng Ming just joined through YouTube as well. Welcome. We have your good buddy as well, Vivian. I think Mr. SEO Kick is joined as well. Welcome.
Okay.
So, what about the on the LinkedIn side, Vivian? How is it?
Okay, LinkedIn.
I think we can kickstart at 2:10.
Okay. Well, Barrabas, we are actually waiting for more people to come in, so we'll be starting shortly in the next 2 minutes. Okay. Welcome everyone. Welcome from our people connections from YouTube and LinkedIn. Now, my name is Vivian and I'm the host for today. Now, welcome to our brown bag webinar with the theme of Sun Tzu Art of War in Talent Retention. So this afternoon we have two very established speakers and experts in their domain who's going to share with us about more of the talent retention. Okay, so stay in that room. We're going to share now. Okay. Now, before I start introducing the first speaker, I'd like to share a little bit more. Now, this particular event is actually virtual event will be recorded for training purposes. By entering this session, you are consenting to have your photos and videos containing you or your voice to be taken. Thank you. Now, there will be ample opportunities for you to raise questions. Now, questions to be raised on the comment section so that the speakers will be able to answer them later. Okay, please refrain from recording or sharing any screenshot. Okay. Sorry. Screenshots of fellow participants on social media. Conversation will be kept respectful. Our moderators and speakers have the right to reject any questions that may be deemed inappropriate or sensitive. Have fun. Okay, let me share with this event is actually organized by Stevenson Eureka. Now, before I start, okay, I'd like to introduce our very first speaker. He is Dr. Pratik Surana. Okay, now Dr. Pratik is a dynamic and multifaceted person. He is also an international corporate trainer and coach. He has a record of training 15,000 over people and have several articles and books and 4 books to his credit. He has an EQ of 120, certified practitioner by Multi Health System USA. He is also multimodal coaching by International Institute of Professional Academy UK. He has cognitive behavior therapy practitioner certification by International Institute of Applied Psychology, and he also has life coaching certification. So without ado, I'd like to introduce our first speaker, Dr. Pratik Surana.
Thank you. Thanks for the introduction, Vivian. I hope I'm audible to you and everyone. Okay, great. So that's my name, Pratik P. Surana, and as in the introduction, as Vivian has already spoken about, I have been an EQ coach and a behavioral expert. So this workshop that I'm going to talk about is people join organizations, but they leave managers. So I'm going to talk about various behavioral issues at work and how they impact us in terms of our people retention, in terms of developing leadership in people, in terms of carrying out day-to-day conversations, in terms of our various aspects. Okay, I hope I'm audible. Okay, great. So first, that's my name, and as Vivian has already said, one correction, it is EQI 2.0 certification. All right, so that's a small correction. Have been a traveler to the core, and we'll talk about my non-serious things a little later. As it says, I have played tennis and cricket during school and college days, authored 4 books, so I wouldn't really go much detail in terms of what they are and about the company. We'll talk about it later. So let me start my conversation with this beautiful thought by Albert Einstein. He says there are only 2 ways to live your life. One is as though nothing is a miracle. The other is as though everything is a miracle. Okay. Now, this thought tells us that it depends on how we look at the same thing based on our perspectives, based on our own interpretation of the things. So Albert Einstein says there are only 2 ways to live your life. One is as though nothing is a miracle. The other is as though everything is a miracle. Okay. So this clearly establishes the fact that he talks about the perspective, he talks about the self-belief, he talks about the way we look at it. All right. So now let's watch a video. Okay, Vivian.
All right, girls, listen carefully. This is the
I hope the audio is clear.
Yes, ma'am. Now, the candy will pass by on this conveyor belt and continue into the next room where the girls will pack it. Now, your job is to take each piece of candy and wrap it in one of these papers. Put it back on the belt. You understand? Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Let her roll! Let her roll! Well, wait here. Somebody's asleep at the switch.
What are you doing up here? I thought you were downstairs boxing chocolates.
Oh, they kicked me out of there fast.
Why?
I kept pinching them to see what kind they were. This is the 4th department I've been in.
Oh, I didn't do so well either.
All right, girls. Now, this is your last chance. If one piece of candy gets past you and into the packing room unwrapped, you're fired.
Yes, ma'am.
Let her roll!
Oh, this is easier. Yeah, we can handle this okay. Listen, Ethel, I think this... I think we're fighting a losing game. Here she comes.
Fine, you're doing splendidly. Speed it up a little!
Okay, so that's about it. I'm sure everybody has enjoyed this video. It's a beautiful video which tells us volumes about why people behave the way they do. It tells us about, what drives a company in terms of, its various aspects. The moment we see the kind of conversation that's happening between the two, okay, we can identify that this is absolutely a one-way communication. Now, if the supervisor, the lady, is full of work pressure, and that work pressure, she's unable to handle her emotions like anxiety, fear, or or irritation, or frustration, and the entire thing comes out on the poor girls who are yet to reason out with the schedule, with the kind of production environment, or that they do not have the say in the entire matter. So the entire relationship is very, very fear driven. There is no connect, there is no openness, and this is what happens in most of the organizations. So it's always said that organizations always have one common factor called profits. Every organization in the world exists for this sole reason called profits. We all need profits. We work in the organizations because we see our personal profits in it. We see our own benefits, our perks, our salaries, our various things, so on and so forth. These profits are driven by the kind of organization of resources, of human resources, of finances, financial resources, of marketing resources, of production resources, so on and so forth, of planning, strategy, quality policy, so on and so forth. Everything has to be in place, right? But ultimately, it is the people who are driving it. Now, people are normally driven by the kind of conversations that happen at the workplace. Now, if you look at this conversation that's happening here, in this particular case that the video was showing, the conversation was purely one-sided. It was full of anger. It was, the people did not have an open conversation. In a result, the girls were unable to uh, match up to the expectations, and ultimately it would be the production that would get hampered. That in turn would impact profits. But the most important thing is conversations are often driven by the kind of relationships at work. My relationship with my colleagues, with my boss, with my peers, with my customers define what kind of conversations I'm going to carry out. That in turn defines, am I going to motivate my people? Am I going to be connected with the people? Am I going to really influence them in the right manner that I'm supposed to? And that would impact on my organization, which is meant for profits. And ultimately, these relationships are driven by something called as emotions. If I'm happy, I'll ensure that I am at work, I have good relationship, mutually satisfying relationship with my colleagues. That also tells me that the kind of conversations that I'm going to have with my colleagues is going to be positive, it's going to be motivating for them. That in turn would motivate people who would ensure that the systems and processes are followed right, and that in turn defines the profits. In this case, these two girls would simply move to the next best job the moment they find it. So the kind of conversations would make them extremely stressful to work in the environment that they are in. That in turn would make them not follow the organizational processes, systems in an effective manner, and that's going to impact the profits. So it is ultimately the emotions that make or break profits. So that's the way in Johari window that we always say that we assume that we come across as taskmaster. The lady, the supervisor must be feeling that she comes across as somebody who's a taskmaster, who's driving the force, who's getting the results. But the way she is viewed upon by her juniors is different, is in terms of how bossy or authoritative she comes across as. Emotions always come in various blends. So the very, very important aspect is to identify from where that particular emotion is coming. For example, in this particular case, we see anger as a predominant emotion. Okay, the entire relationship between the supervisor and the floor workers is very, very fear driven. Okay, so she is angry because she is irritated. She is irritated because she's anxious, she's nervous, she's not sure whether the production schedule would be matched up. She has the targets to meet. And because of that, she's a little panic stricken. She becomes mad, she becomes furious, and even, the girls get very, very jittery. They get terrified with her presence, with the kind of communication that happens. And ultimately, the result is in front of you. So it's very important, as I've said always, that 80% of emotional intelligence is about yourself, then about others. 80% of emotional intelligence is about identifying the emotion that is driving that conversation or behavior. And the rest 20% is about regulating it. And let me tell you one honest fact that I tell to all my participants in all the programs that I conduct is emotional intelligence is a skill that one has to practice for a very short time called as lifetime. So the life is short. We have to ensure that we have mutually satisfying relationship, influence people in the right manner, and bring the best out of the people. We always talk about how to influence people. Now, if we go to see, leaders come in all shapes and sizes, all right from a 92-year-old to a 14-year-old. Everybody displays the leadership. It all depends on how you influence somebody with your behaviors, with your conversations, with how you empower people rather than seeing them as competitors, how you collaborate with them, how you ensure that there is an open conversation and an open communication between the people. All right. So it is all to do with how you influence people with your own behaviors. As I've said, you are responsible for your behaviors, and those behaviors work in various areas like carrying out day-to-day conversation, adapting in difficult situations. For that matter, post-COVID, the adaptability has been one of the biggest factors. So people see you doing things, they adapt the behaviors that you display are the right ones. So adaptability, managing changes, flexibility, reality check, all those behaviors are driven by emotions. For that matter, any decision that you make, a tough decision or a difficult conversation in terms of giving a feedback, okay, is always a display of leadership. If you want to build a ship, don't drum up the people to gather wood, divide the work and give orders. Instead, teach them to yearn for the vast and endless sea. Okay, so this is from The Little Prince, the famous book. The author says that you just have to tell them the intent and influence them with your own actions. Okay, so just how you yearn for the sea, vast and endless sea, let them also yearn for it, and they will automatically find ways. So leaders work on whys than hows. All right, I will, now we all are familiar with this picture, right? The intent was very clear that I'm going to make a man fly. Okay, why I wanted to do it is because of my passion, because of my conviction in the discovery that I'm going to do or the invention that I'm going to do. That brings the passion, the necessary passion to be put in. So leaders always talk about whys, not hows. People find how to do it on themselves. All you need to do is be supportive, be collaborative, be open, and most importantly, know your own self, because you are the one who's going to make a decision, lead the team, handle conversations, do negotiations, resolve conflicts, so on and so forth, which again are very, very driven by emotions. So leaders build a team of giants. This is where I would like to tell you a story. There's a colleague of mine who was extremely efficient. Okay, she was amazing with her work, but at the same time, she would always look at the other fellow colleagues as competitors and would be always averse to sharing the knowledge that she has. So in a nutshell, she was more of an individual contributor. Eventually, we found that if she is not aligned to the values, we will have to take some kind of an action on how to align her to the values. We tried doing it, and we influenced by practicing those values ourselves, the organizational values that we have. And eventually that we see as we influenced and got her converted into it. Now, Vivian, may I just request you to run the questionnaires? I have the three of them, the three questions. So you would see the link to the questions. There are a few questions. I request all the members of the audience to please participate in it. Do we also have the QR code, Vivian? For this one, no. We just have the link.
Okay, Dr. Surana, just wait for a while. I think the LinkedIn has some lagging because they're only showing the chart of Malala and all those leaders right now. So I think we got to wait for a while until it sync up, yeah?
Okay, I'll wait.
It's almost 2 minutes delay.
I
don't know why this is the...
On a lighter note, Stephen, I always thought that traffic jams exist in India and Manila. Didn't
Yeah,
know that
technology,
it exists. It exists in
technology,
technology.
technology has its failing as well.
I understand that. I understand that. And I'm sure those who are from Manila would empathize me of the traffic that we all face. And those who are from India participating in it would definitely second.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's no way you can bring the solve the lagging issue.
Hmm.
And if you were to do the survey now, we may not get a immediate response. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll flash up the thing. All right. Hold on. Stop share. So I will.
Oh, I can see that in LinkedIn we are still at the
Yes.
case that we have spoken
It's a
about.
how and the why right now. Yeah. Almost 2-3 minutes delay for some reason. It's just too long.
Right, right. Oh, I can see that in LinkedIn we are still at
Yes.
case that we have spoken
It's a how and the why right now. Yeah. Almost 2-3 minutes delay for
No,
some reason.
is it showing from your side?
Yes, now it is showing.
Okay, now you're in sync. But let me try to. So, the audience, yeah, just be patient with us because it's a technology lag. What we are trying to do right now is actually flash up a survey. So, just hold on for a while.
Yes, now it is showing.
Okay, now you're in sync. But let me try to. So, the audience, yeah, just be patient with us because it's a technology. Okay, Vivian, you want to send the QR code, Nicole, to the team?
It's actually below the slides. It's already been shown, Nicole. Yeah. So now we're waiting for the thing to be screened out.
But how come it's not showing the QR code?
I only.
I actually flash out the QR code, but it's not showing. Dr. Pratik, I think you have to stop share your screen.
Okay.
Ah, that is a QR code. Yeah? So if all of you have find out the QR code, we can start the quiz. Yeah? Can you type a 1 on the chat group on YouTube and LinkedIn if you have signed on, so we can start the survey. One player has joined, two players have joined. Peter To, Christine. Okay. Yeah, let's have more people joining. Yes, Mai, welcome. Okay, we have 4 people joining. Right, we'll start the quiz now, yeah? Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Dr. Pratik, you want to read out?
A high-performing employee not aligned to the organizational culture should be replaced, should be tolerated for performance irrespective of the behavior, is an asset to the organization, or doesn't matter. Please record your responses. Okay, so 2 people have responded.
Yeah,
Great.
because time factor, yeah? It's 30 seconds timing, yeah? Okay.
The right one is should be replaced, because it's like hygiene of the organization. It's like you have a tasty food, but it's not hygienic. Would you eat it? As simple as that. Okay, can we go to the next one, please? In the competitive environment, colleagues need to be treated as threat, as they may surpass you, or should be collaborated with for learning good skills and improvise, should be ignored and focus only on our individual performance, and doesn't matter. It's about you. Everyone has answers. Great.
Everyone got the right answer.
Absolutely.
Wonderful.
Great.
Okay, let's move on to the next one.
Last one, please. When you see a high-performing employee not aligned to the values, you think him as misfit, arrogant, or self-centered. Everyone has answered. Great. Misfit, self-centered, arrogant, all 3 are right. Great. Thanks. Thank you. Now, can we go back to the slides, please?
Okay, so we have... Wow, Mr. Hing Ming, you score 139. You are the leader. Congratulations.
Congratulations. I
Okay,
can see HM.
Yeah, just a little gamification. Okay, wonderful. All right, thank you
Fantastic.
for participating. We will end this.
And can we go back to the slide, please? Yes.
Yeah, so on, I will stop sharing.
Right.
Yeah, okay. Carry on.
So leaders always build a team of giants. Okay. Leaders always make future leaders. They need to be collaborative. They need to delegate more and stop micromanaging. They manage change by replacing fear with excitement. So it's always said that one has to be curious and not furious at the people. So there's a lot to do in terms of managing change. We talk about Industry 4.0, or we talk about GRACE designation. We need to tackle them with excitement, saying that here's an opportunity for us to pump in the fresh blood in the organization, or also in terms of retraining the talent, in terms of retaining it with more perks and benefits, with more flexibility, so on and so forth. Leaders don't create followers, they create more leaders. And that's what Tom Peters talk about. It's always the people connect. So the new business mantra is P2P, not B2B. It's about connecting with people, aligning with people, and ensuring that you're influencing them in the right manner. There's a famous quote which says, "We have excellent performers and managers, but broken individuals." So it's always about being a good human being. Everything else, including leadership, is a subset. So, ensure that your empathetic side is visible to the people. Sheldon Yellen, that's the example where we talk about P2P. He is the CEO of the property restoration company Belfor Holdings, handwrites birthday cards to each of the 9,200 employees as a way to display gratitude for having to chosen work with the company. Let's start building human and one-on-one connections. The rest will take care of itself. These are some of the readings. Working with Emotional Intelligence by Daniel Goleman, Quiet Leadership by David Rock, Manager's Pocket Guide to Emotional Intelligence by Emily Sterrett, and 7-Day Weekend by Ricardo Simba. With that, I thank you for being a wonderful audience, being amazing, and being patient with me. Thank you very much. Over to you, Vivian.
Thank you very much, Dr. Pratik. That was very insightful. I think I learned a lot of things in the last 15 minutes from your sharing. Now, our next speaker is Mr. Stephen Lu. Now, but before I introduce and bring him up on for his sharing, I'd like to share a little bit about who Mr. Stephen Lu is. Now, Mr. Stephen Lu is the co-founder and executive director of Stevenson and Eureka. He's and what a little bit of Stevenson and Eureka. It is actually we are a talent resourcing and training services provider focusing on people, process, and communication. So over the past 12 years, Stephen and his team has trained and consulted, coached and facilitated workshops for more than 10,000 of seniors, leaders, managers, and operation teams. Areas of training includes leadership and people management, and EQ leadership and high performance team, stakeholders engagement, employee engagement, and organization relation building, and lastly, effective problem solving. Now, Stevens provides executive career coachings to clients and candidates in your search for a new career. So before I ado, let's have Mr. Stephen Lu share his sharing. Okay, Mr. Stephen Lu.
You gotta stop sharing.
Yep.
And then can you pull up my slides?
Yes. This.
Okay, very good afternoon to everybody. Yeah, I hope you have some good insight of what Dr. Pratik Surana just shared just now, right? It's very much into the EI and the EQ intelligence program. Something very personal, deep insight, yeah? So let's give him a hand of applause, right? Hey, thank you for a good insight, yeah? Okay, now EI, EQ is very much about intrinsic, the values within us. A lot of all those EQ, I mean, this leadership stuff and soft skills is very much extrinsic that we learn, right? So ability to harness those intrinsic values is very key in terms of how we enhance and empower as a human being. And that's the message where Dr. Pratik Surana was trying to emphasize. Yeah? Now, my topic is very much about how to empower your managers in talent retention, also focusing on the intrinsic values of managers. I'm going to walk you through some exciting case studies as well. So just bear with me as I roll on the slides. Yeah? Okay, a little bit something less serious about myself. I don't normally always share this, but given that Dr. Pratik have shared, so I thought I must do the same as well. Yeah, something a lot of people may not know. I'm actually a fan of North and South Indian vegetarians and enjoy masala chai. Yeah? If some of you are from India here, I'm here, you'll be happy to hear that. Twice a month, I'll bring my family for nice Indian vegetarian. And I've traveled to many countries in Asia Pac in my previous career, and particularly India. I've traveled to many cities as well. Not many people like to travel to India because of hygiene issue, but I'm okay. And I've seen many things about life, about challenges, issues, and of course the beautiful culture and so forth. Yeah. Now I spent about last 15 years as a volunteer counselor in Singapore Changi Prison. Many people do not know, and sometimes in my training session I joke with my audience, say I've been in out of prison for the last 15 years, and I pause every time I say that. Their eyes open up. Huh? Really? Stephen, you go inside prison? I say yes, but not as a prisoner, but as a volunteer counselor. Yeah. And I've seen people, whether you got PhD, whether you got CEO, whether you are a pilot, they are all inside. Right? And it's not about what we know, the IQ, it's about the values of the people, the individual, how they differentiate the right from the wrong. You can have very good intellect, right? But if you make the wrong move, you'll be inside. Yeah, for that reason. Anyway, myself, I'm a student of Buddhism. I study Buddhist philosophies, and I spent almost about 8-9 years doing that. Completed my master's, from diploma to degree to master's, and eventually I also have a chance to visit many Buddhist holy sites in India, Sri Lanka, Tibet, Myanmar, Angkor Wat, and China as well, Chang'an, yeah, where Fa Xian started his Silk Road journey, yeah, and it was amazing, yeah, amazing. And I'm still, of course, still a student, still learning. Of course, whenever possible, I will dispense the topics and talks about Buddhism to my fellow friends and temples, and even some colleges. Yeah. Okay, I practice Qigong and of course exercise regularly. At our age, I think it's important for us to have a balanced life, right? Exercise regularly and stay healthy. Okay. All right, let's move on. Now, today I just want to focus on 4 key areas. One is that to give you the scenario why talent retention become very critical given that economic impact of what's happening, and what are the top 5 challenges for the new normal. And then we dive into a case study, yeah, of a US logistic company in the area of culture change, employees engagement, and of course talent retention. And then what are the key takeaways? Yeah. Okay, let's move on. Now, we lived through the last 2.5 years of pandemic, right? And during pandemic, I think most people are aware, every place, whether it's hotel, whether it's restaurant, whether it's Changi Airport, is like a ghost town, even the streets, when we are all locked into our own respective home. At that time, those are industries that were badly affected, really bad, right? Never seen such a bad situation. Even the SARS was bad, but nothing compared to what we went through. So, but then there was a silver lining. Yeah? In March, this year things got better. Government has opened up the market and, of course, allow relaxation of rules. And, of course, you can see that globally is also things have improved. And hence, the industry that was very bad, during the pandemic time now has enjoyed a boom. Wow, in a short 2.5 years, things have started to turn. The industry that was doing well then, like e-commerce, IT, logistics, healthcare, is actually experiencing a slowdown, right? And also retrenchment happening. Wow, in such a short time, things have changed. And we start to ask, hey, what a paradox, right? Suddenly all things has just changed. But hey, if you look at for those of you who have been mature enough, work for the last 20 odd years, you have seen a lot more changes over the industry, whether it's oil industry, financial services industry, right? Construction industry, no different. So technology, what you call changes in the seismic shift is always happening. And when that happens, jobs are affected, new jobs are created. And of course, professionals, whether blue collars or profession, have to go through what you call job redesign, or even learn, relearn, unlearn. Yeah. And stress and depression will continue to happen when that seismic shift happens, right? Of course, technology change is also a driving factor. The AI, the cyber security, the big data, right? The cloud, yeah. And these are the things that's actually driving new jobs creation. And of course, when new job created, some old jobs are lost, especially when we talk about a lot of automation that's happening today. Last but not least, the gig economy. Yeah, this is one area where people likes to focus on their passion, do something that they like versus working for somebody. Yeah. So freelance gig economy is actually on the rise and will continue to rise. Yeah. So these are the key challenges that's happening in the marketplace. So we need to be cognizant, need to be mindful what is happening in the industry. Yeah. Before we drive down about this talent retention issue that we are going to talk about. Okay. Let me move on. Now, since the topic is very much aligned to Sun Tzu, Sun Tzu Ping Fa, art of war in talent retention. So I like to use some of the quote. In the midst of all this chaos, there's always opportunity. Yeah, as I would always advise some executive in their search for new job, I say one door has closed for you, right? More doors will open. Our mind just have to keep open, right? And continue to be innovative and seek for new pastures, new sunrise industry, get ourselves skilled up. So no difference here in the area of talent retention for managers, for executive, we have to do the same as well. Of course, on the other side of defense, yeah. So in this Sun Tzu, right? I mean, you have these words called crisis. Yeah, crisis is actually consists of two words, 危机, right? 危机 is 危险, it means danger, and then 机 is actually opportunity, right? So when there's crisis, there's opportunity. So we just need to innovate, right? Innovate. Now, let me just, same thing as what we did just now with Dr. Pratik just now. I just want to do a quick, what it calls survey. Just bear with me. I will stop share. Stop share. Is there any way to stop share here for now? Let me just pull up the slides. Hold on. Okay, can you see this? Okay, show the QR code, yeah? All right, can you scan this? For those who are on probably YouTube, you can see. Unfortunately, for those on LinkedIn, there's a lag of almost 3 minutes. So we apologize for that. We can't do a simultaneous survey. But for those of you who can, just scan in and do join us to participate in this survey. Yeah, it's a fun thing. Oh, I think LinkedIn now is almost synchronized. Vivian, did you do something? Okay, so how many people? Everyone has signed up? All right, so if you have, let me just hide the instruction. Go back. Yeah, so one PAX assigned to. Yeah, let's have more PAX. Okay, thank you, Mai, for signing up. How about Christine, Peter, Hingming? All right, let's start the questions, right? Now, is employee engagement a HR responsibility? Yeah. Is this a HR only a responsibility? You can choose anyone. There's no right or wrong. Yes, 100%, right? Or no, or maybe, or not sure. Just choose one. Okay, you can answer now. So 30 seconds. All right. All right, let's move on to the next one. Yeah. Now, so yes, absolutely right. Later on, you share more, right? We just go to another two more questions. Huh? Now, this one is cloud. Is a words, word cloud. Just write down three words that comes to your mind, right? So, what do you think? What do you think? Yeah, what do you think of a toxic manager? What words, when you think of a toxic manager, what words come to mind? Yeah. Okay, just type down three words that comes to your mind. Give more 30 seconds. Just type the words. Are you able to type? Arrogant. Okay. What else? Not competent, not knowledgeable, bossy. Yeah. Commanding. Yeah. Okay, good. Thank you. So you have words like the commands, arrogant, not competent, bossy, yelling. Okay. That's not uncommon. That's good. Thank you. Let's move on to the last question. Think of one past good manager you had. What key positive attributes he possessed? Yeah. Okay. Again, it's a word cloud. Just type in the three words that comes to your mind. Okay, good empathy, coaching, good leadership, yeah, resourceful, vision. Servant leadership, okay, good. Yeah, I'm just writing down so that I can recollect. Okay, good. Thank you. I think that's the questions. Thank you for participating. So we will just end there for now. All right, so we will get back. Yeah. All right. Can you pull up the previous slides? Okay, so team, you answered 3 questions. Yeah, thank you for participating. This now the first question was, is employees engagement a HR responsibility? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you answered correctly. Yes, it's no longer a HR issue. Yes, you're absolutely right. Yeah, but some people still think that it's a HR issue. Yeah. So if you base on this Gallup report, Gallup consultancy firm is actually a HR consultancy, global consultancy firm that does a lot of research and also engagement with major clients, right? So one of the research that they found based on engagement and consulting, they found that actually managers today are actually responsible for 70% of the variances in the team engagement. That means whether the teams are engaged or not, or whether this, like what Dr. Pradik's theme, they join organization but leave the manager. So manager become very critical factor here. HR can be involved for policies, putting some resources in place and so forth. But hey, the managers will be directly responsible. Remember, for some of you who may have gone training and so forth, you probably always hear that, hey, what happens after training? Nothing gets done or nothing gets changed. HR will blame the HOD or the department head, and department head will always blame the HR. So there's no end, right? Okay, so that's one first answer to the first question, right? Now, before I talk about the other 2 questions that was raised, allow me to share with you this case study that we have conducted some 6 years ago with one major US logistic company. Yeah. Now we have there's a situation here where this MD who has worked, he's not new to the company, he's worked for 20 years, and then he was from another planning group before he was actually parachuted down to Singapore to do the transformation for the country operations. Yeah, there were 700 staff. I think the team in Singapore has, facing challenges because it's not profitable, and I think things are not efficient. There were a lot of complacency. There was also a lot of blame game issues that's happening. Yeah, so he has a big goal. Yeah, the big goal is actually, number 1, to transform the operations to be profitable. Number 2 is to improve the customer index. In a major economy or major industries, right, the only way to differentiate an organization is very much dependent on customer satisfaction index. If you're able to do that, you will translate into high profitability. Just like in US, they use the Net Promoter Score. But today, do you know that Net Promoter Score is also related to Employees Engagement Index, Employees Experience Index. So it's now interrelated, yeah. And of course, to be a top major logistic leader in Singapore, and last but not least, but of course, to empower managers. Now he has a big order, right? So when he parachute down, of course, he's trying to fix all these things, and there are many areas to fix. And when you're into the job for 3 months and things are still not moving, you know what happened? Of course, you have a lot of angst, you have a lot of issues, and when things cannot move, let me tell you, a lot of senior executive in a company, especially MNC, sometimes when things are not moving, they do use profanity in the room. Yeah. And of course, this ND used because on the senior managers. So because that happened, and because it's a MNC, senior managers can report to the boss. That means not the ASEAN boss, but the Asia Pacific senior VP boss. Wow. So when that happened, intervention has to be made. So the senior VP in Asia Pac actually, call in the MD or HR, and of course this MD, and told him that he need coaching. Yeah, coaching because as an executive, you need to be able to behave well, you need to be able to communicate well. And of course that for that reason, they actually call up some vendors to come and to be so-called considered for this coaching program. So we are one of the vendors that actually we approached now because we engaged them before. They liked the things that we have done. And this MD itself had good chemistry with us. So we were selected in a short by the HR and also the MD himself. But long story short, we did a number of things. So I just want to share with you why he was actually, been looked in what they call into it. Now, certain group, may say that, oh, he's a slave driver, low trust level. Remember just now I asked you about a toxic manager, right? Now you may have described some of it like arrogant, commanding, bossy, yelling. Yeah, that probably is other things that he did as well. Yeah, and a micromanager, impatient, you're a stressor, poor listener, bad communicator. Now, not all toxic managers are bad, by the way. They can be, they want to get things done. It's just that sometimes, like I said, from the intrinsic side, and we Asians particularly don't always have acquired the right skills to communicate empathetically. Yeah, and that's always an issue. Yeah. And a lot of us are trained in a different way, yeah, the hard way. We call it the hard love, hard love. Now, so in short, is that this is where the perception sometimes can be real, can be what you call reality check. So if you continue to behave the same way, even after being coached, then that's reality. But you will start to do changing to your way, how you see things, your self-awareness, your empathy, the way you communicate. Hey, then that's good for change. And once you learn these skills, all right, particularly in the EQ skills and so forth, right, it will change your life. And that's what happened to this MD. Yeah. Now let me move on. Is conscious of the time. Now I want to bring this concept to you, and this is something very inherent in all EQ training, right? We use, there are many concepts, of course, it's all similar. In this case, we call TEAR, yeah? TEAR. Now, R is something that we do to get a certain outcome, yeah? Okay, R is basically what you use as a result. A is something where we put in effort, yeah, which is actions. Whether it's a good action, is a positive action, this is where we get the results, whether positive or negative, depending on what actions you put in. E is basically the emotion. How do you feel at that situation? Do you feel good or you feel bad? If you're anxious, you're tense, you're stressed, you're bound to think differently, act negatively, and do something very negative. But when you're calm, you're self-aware, and you know how to control your emotions, right? Let's say you are getting a bit angst, and you know that thing is rising. You can learn a few techniques by breathing in and out. By having 3 deep breaths, you change your whole physiology and emotions. All right? And you have to tell yourself, I have to calm down. Yeah? I have to calm down. I have to calm down within yourself. And then you won't say things you regret for the rest of your life, or even at a situation, right? So what comes to mind is where it translates into the body emotion. If you see something you don't like, for instance, you see your child making noise in the public, dinner, can't eat well. Sometimes parents who are so-called not so well trained, they'll slap a child. Like the other day came on the paper, it say one mother was slapping the child in a swimming pool for half an hour. That's not a wise way to do. Yeah. So the way what comes to mind, right? Because through our senses, the way we see, the way we hear, the way we tend to be reactive rather than proactive. So learning EQ is one way to be conscious, self-aware, and control our emotions. Yeah. Now, so let me just go on. So our thoughts will translate into emotions. If we have a good discipline, we can control our emotions. If we don't, then the actions, being positive, negative, will create a negative result. In this case of the MD, in the meeting, obviously things don't get moving. He blasts up at the senior manager, right? And he used profanity. And of course, you want to kick butts. Why this not moving? And of course, the senior manager may have said that giving all kind of excuse, but not making things happening. Yeah. And that's where cause a result. Now, so just think about yourself in your daily life, right? At any time that you lost your temper, you lost your emotion, you blast at your wife or your children or your staff, What causes it? Is there any way you can control it? Is there any way you can improve it? Yes, you could. It can be done, right? Through training, through coaching, through EQ, what you call learning, yeah? Attending classes by Dr. Surana. Okay, now I want to share this concept, how we teach our what you call learners in our classes. Now, even in my leadership training side, I use this approach because I've trained people in EQ. I train people in this aspect, telling them example how to using the tier concept, right? Now, for instance, let's say you are a sales director and you want to chase your sales team for numbers, right? And if somebody is not doing well, assuming Pratik is my sales team member, Pratik, your last 3 quarters numbers has been down. What's going on? Right? You can see the intonation is not a very good way of talking. I'm talking in a condescending way, and that's not good. Yeah. But if you could have used an EQ approach, you could have communicated in a different way. Oh, Pratik, you have been doing well in the past, but the last 3 quarters, your numbers is not there. I'm concerned about you. Are you okay? How do you feel? Wow. 2 different ways of communicating, but one has more empathy and show concern. How do you think Pratik is going to react? How will he react better? The first one or the second one? Yeah, most people will respond better to the second one because you have connection. You show as a manager, you show concern. And for all you know, Pratik may have personal problems. He may have other issues that's bothering. He has been doing well in the past, but for some reason, the last 3 quarters, last 3 months, something has not done right, for some reason. So it's good to connect as a manager to understand what caused the problem. Now, another way is basically to be open mind. How do you communicate? These are very simple tips, all right? And you can take away today from here. For instance, like, if let's say, how to make sure that we don't prejudge as a manager. Sometimes we tend to prejudge. You're telling me this thing, I've heard about it, this happened anytime. Why don't you do this step, follow what I'm saying? No, we don't do that. If Pratik come and tell me, say that, oh, this is something, a new idea that has come across, and he thinks it can be something good for him to introduce. As a manager, we have to be open mind. Okay, Pratik, sounds good. Tell me more. Another good tip, tell me more. That means to show openness, willing to hear and willing to listen. Yeah, listening skills. All right, so this is one way to get people to tell you more so that you don't make a quick prejudgment on the situation, but really gather the information well before you give your feedback. Yeah. Now, next is basically you're a person or staff that come to tell you a few things, right? And share you a number of things that can be done. A good way of, rather than prejudge and telling this cannot be done, do something else. Ask the person, how is this important to you? And how can this help organization? Get them to think about it. Sometimes when a person say he may be right or wrong, whichever it is, but is to keep an open mind so that when he come back to you with a suggestion and so forth, he'll think better and identify and connect it to the value and how he can bring values whether to the team or to the organization. Yeah. So this is our 3 simple tips, but very useful in terms of a neutral way to get communicate with the team and get them to communicate more. Yeah. And to show that you care and concern. Show personal concern, the first one. Second one is patient, practice good listening skills. Third, of course, is show open mind. 3 simple tips that you can take away. Yeah. Now, so I'm sharing you with this is basically, these are the things that we teach and we conduct even for all these culture change, employees engagement with big organization. Yeah. Let me tell you that we do it for many organizations. No different with this logistic company. We train the MD. We also coach the MD. We also coach the senior managers and their managers to do that as well. So that they don't make prejudgment. They don't do blame game and work together as a team. You understand? So this is one very simple 3 answers. Of course, there are more examples. I'm just showing the simple ones that's easy to follow. Yeah. Now, of course, high EQ and the low EQ leaders, right? There are many attributes that you can see. Number one, some people who may not have been aware, like this MD, he wasn't conscious that he has to be a good listener, but after he learned it, he learned very fast. Within 2-3 weeks, we did the emotional capital report. He realized that, wow, that is one of his weaknesses. He got to change quickly, right? Be more empathetic, have more time for the staff, listen to them, understand before you make a judgment call. Yeah. And of course, you must always full enthusiasm. People like to deal with people who are not so-called angry all the time. You must be smiling, engaging in a calm, cool manner. Then staff would like to share more. If you're always in the angry mode, right, I think the staff will be fearful. Okay, and must always be patient. Now, 4 is actually, full play to the strength. Look at the strength of your staff. What are they good at? And what's the weakness? And try to balance up the team that don't have the right strength. Bring in the skills that need to complement. Yeah. And of course, to know his strength and ability. Those areas, good leaders, they don't try to do things on their own. Especially if you're MD, there's a lot of things to be done. You enroll people, even outside department or external, to basically balance up the strength of the team that you don't have, or even hire the team that you need. Yeah. All right. So you can see low EQ, they try to outdo others. It's always negative energy, sometimes a lot of apathy. When you say something, they always come up with some negative remarks, and they are not good followers as well. They do things on their own. That's unfortunate. Worst patience. They, even if you tell them, they say, these people, they procrastinate. They say other people, they are not patient. How should I be patient? No, you don't do that, right? You always have to be holistic, view things in a positive way. And also, we, as a leader, we should not try to be clever. The important thing is to gather the team, make them go towards one direction. Yeah. And of course, able to, live in the eyes of others, create the right perception, be vulnerable. Sometimes as leaders, we need to be vulnerable in it. So those are attributes of high EQ, low EQ, not exhaustive, but just to share some of these attributes. Yeah. Now, all long story short, obviously it's such a short 30 minutes. I can't expound everything, but I just want to give you the outcome. What is the outcomes after 18 months? Of course, the first 6 months, first 3 months, he spent a lot of time with the MD himself. After that, the second 3 months, he spent a lot with their manager, because in a transformation, you need to make sure leaders are top leaders embrace the change. Then only the senior managers can be trained to coach, to support the change. And of course, the managers follow suit and so forth. So you have to be from senior echelon moving down to the the management hierarchy. Yeah. So I just want to let you know, change is not just 1 or 2 months period. It takes time, right? So for this case, we take 18 months. Yeah. Now, what's the outcome? Well, number one, Skytrax independent survey on the rating of this customer satisfaction. For this company, they achieved 10 points higher than the major logistic company back in 2017. It was amazing. When I read the report, I say, wow. Now, next is actually the operation in Singapore was profitable after 12 months. That was amazing, right? No blame game. And this is something that team has worked very hard to solve the issue, because the issue is that when we first went in, we came to know that even the delivery boys, there are almost about 300-400 of them out there doing delivery every other day. A lot of them, attrition was high, number one. Number two is basically a lot of them sometimes sick, not sick, also report sick, don't want to come to work. That is a kind of so-called culture practice, right? And the transformation was 18 months later. One of the senior manager came to me, Stephen, he said, couldn't believe it. The change was tremendous. I did, tell me what's the change. Tell me more, you remember? And he said, when we first started, this was an issue. But 18 months later, when we start changing the culture, we start to be caring, show care, and so forth. Even the staff was sick, they come to work. They show commitment. I say, wow, amazing. I'm humbled, you guys did a lot of work. We just did our small part, I would say, 10-20%. The rest, 80 heavy lifting is all done internally by the team. Now, the other part, of course, they work hard, they play hard. That means you really rally the team. Every month, there's actually engagement. There's actually a outing for the MD and the managers. They go somewhere else, really, for what they call weekend retreat, to really gather the team, go karaoke, go have team activity, fun, and so forth. And they really work hard and play hard. That is the kind of energy that they have to bring the team together. Yeah. Okay. So that is the outcome of what happened. Yeah. Now, what happened to the MD then? He became a transformed person, become well respected, and he became the most trusted MD. Even today, after he left the organization, I can see in the Facebook, everyone still respect him and really wants to get connect with him now and then. Yeah, of course, he left a couple of years, 2-3 years later to another organization. He transformed the culture to be caring, empathy. Wow, that's amazing. He secured commitment and make time for feedback for team bonding. That was amazing. And he turned around the culture of blame game to a culture of trust. Reduced the attrition from 70% year on year, especially all those lower blue collar workers. Yeah. And achieve customer satisfaction and turn around the P&L. That was an amazing achievement. Not easy for somebody who was deemed and seen to be toxic, but able to transform not only his personal self, but also the organization. Today, he's a changed man. The way he engaged, the way he talked, and the way he communicated is amazing. Yeah. All right. So let me just move on. Now, so what do we learn from here? Through executive coaching, through self-awareness, right? Learning some of these EQ leadership skills, he became a good self-awareness person, good empathy, mindfulness, and now an effective communicator. Yeah. And this is where coaching skills can help tremendously, especially teaching on the intrinsic values, communicating through compassion and empathy. Now, so what does all this boils down to? Managers today have to identify ways how to engage employees through trust, number one, commitment, loyalty, and motivation. Obviously, the manager will have to count on HR to put the policies, the benefits in place, but the manager themselves, like a Gallup report as mentioned, 70% of it comes from the manager itself to really engage the team members. Yeah. All right. So this is a chart that shows what the drivers is. So as managers out there, and of course for you HR practitioners, take note of it, what needs to change. If you are putting all the practices and then but still not working, attrition is happening, something need to change. Yeah. The managers, the executive, I think will probably need something more. Yeah. Right. Executive coaching is one area that will be needed. Now, these are typical programs that's put in place, but a lot of companies have programs like this, but attrition still happen. Yeah, so the key part is at the end of the day, if the company is serious about trying to put some good program in place, they need to look at the executive level and the manager level training, especially in the area of coaching and engagement. Now, what else can employee engagement be improved on? Of course, there's a whole list of areas, right? You can develop realistic, good feedback system, aim to improve internal communications, foster healthy team building activities, building an employee-centric workplace, invest in mental wellness, make room for robust employee recognition. That's also very key. You can see that McDonald's and all those Burger King, they always do that, right? Especially a lot of this retail. And celebrate success, right? And this is where people need recognition. People need what they call ways to celebrate, right? So these are the things. But then again, like I said, the whole focus is on the manager and the executive side. They can make a lot of transformation change within an organization. These are all good to have. And by the way, these are all training that my organizations can provide for. And also we have a WSQ program that can support clients that need it. Yeah. But I just want to let you know that these are the things that's currently in place that organization can leverage on if you have not put that in place at this moment. Yeah. So the key takeaways, yeah, this is almost my last slide now. So people want purpose and meaning from your work. Yeah. Always remember that. What is the purpose and the meaning? Number two, right? Employees' engagement with your manager's primary role responsibility, support, advocating them, and how, especially when they do certain work, how does it connected to the big why, the vision, mission of the organization? And number three, yeah, is managers need to be equipped with good coaching skills and to create ongoing conversations. You don't wait until year end or where the person, tender the resignation, right? It's important to keep the conversation going and identify sometimes the area of skills that a person need and maybe even send them for training. If the manager can coach, even better. So these are what drives employee engagement and talent retention. And I hope you have taken some nuggets of wisdom and tips that you can actually take away and apply in an organization. Yeah. With that, I just want to share the last quote by Sun Tzu. The supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting. Wow. Who is the enemy here? The perception and the minds of your employees. It's not the competition outside. If you have done what I've shared just now, all right, in a holistic way, and drilling down to where the core responsibility is, I think you would have actually what you call achieved a large part of the so-called abilities to overcome the enemy. But nonetheless, of course, it's not 100%. Yeah, you cannot overcome if company offer a higher salary for that reason, right? Or maybe something else, right? So the thing is about at least you can minimize, reduce, and empower the managers to do more. Yeah. Okay. With that, I just want to thank you all for your time to stay with us, and of course, thank you. Back to you, Vivian.
Thank you very much, Mr. Stephen Lu, for your insights. I hope all of you have received some nuggets of wisdom from both speakers. Now, before we leave, I would appreciate if all of you could actually scan this survey feedback to allow us to know how we can improve for our next events.
You have a Q&A, right? Ask them to fill in the question as well.
In the meantime, if you have any questions for our speakers, you can actually type it into the comment section and they will answer your questions. Chotek, you have a question to ask? You type a word called furious. manager.
I always said that you have to be curious and not furious.
Curious, yeah. Change the F to U-C, yeah. Be curious. Don't be furious.
Right. See, that's where I was driving, that it's important to know why a person behaves the way he or she does.
Yeah, control emotions. As a manager, we, even dealing with colleagues, right? They may not be reporting to you. If they do things or things that are not according to your expectations, then I think, you probably have to consider sitting down with them to ask them, what is it that they're not clear about the way to do things, right? So if you're a good influencer as a leader, not as the manager, what you could do like Sun Tzu, Sun Tzu when he was trying to be inducted as a general by the emperor, he said that I can train your concubines, even they are not trained to be good soldiers. He said, oh wow, how can you do that? Show me. So the the emperor commanded him to go and do that. So when he said assemble your 200 concubines, right? And so I can train them to be a good soldier. First, he showed them the steps. And after the steps, they said, okay, you conduct. Then of course the concubine, a lot of them laugh and all that. Think it's funny, man. He said, so what Sun Tzu said is that if the concubines cannot follow instruction, that means the general has not given a clear instruction. So I will say it one more time. All right, so he did the training. So he explained again and again. Well, of course, Sun Tzu's style was quite strict. The third time when he did it and he still laughed, he slaughtered two concubines' head, died, and then after that, everyone start discipline, right? But of course, in your case, you are influencer. You cannot tell them that you're furious. You need to seek to understand, then to be understood. Use Stephen Covey technique. Yeah.
Right.
Seek to understand, then to be understood. Because if they don't understand your process of engagement, then you got to show them. If after they show them and you still don't follow, then you got to let them know where they go wrong, right? And if they really can't, and after you coach and train them, then probably you may have to speak to the manager, his or her manager involved, to make sure that the person understands if for some reason he doesn't want to follow the instruction. Yeah? So I think here is basically, like I said, need to be curious, need to engage with an open mind, right? I hope that helps. Anyway, thank you for your what you call questions.
Well, is there any more questions that the connection people like to ask the speakers? Do type into the comment. In the meantime, we welcome you to follow us on our social media for future updates as we organize more brown bags for all our connections on talent and retention.
Maybe Dr. Surana, you can tell us some of your executive coaching that you did. How long does it take to make them change?
So I always say that change is a slow process that is always ongoing, and it's ever going. So you're not the same person you used to be 5 years back, and you would not be the same person 5 years down the line. So it's an ongoing process. However, I always say that allow yourself 5 to 12 weeks for any new particular habit that you plan to practice. And we coach in terms of 1 hour or 45 minutes sessions into 9 to 12 sessions spread across 9 to 12 weeks.
Okay, it takes time to change. Behavior is always difficult to change. Human, we are all behavior. We are all, behavior animals, unlike it or not, and we all don't want to change. Yeah. If you usually, for those people attending my class, I'll get them to do a few practice to see how behavior change is so difficult. Like sitting down or putting your arms, or folding your arms, right? And you know that practice, social scientists have shown that you need to practice 21 days. Areas that you are not comfortable, areas that you are, not your normal usual way. Like for instance, you have to assuming you have to wake up early in the morning to go and exercise or go and walk. It's not easy thing. If your bed is so warm and nice, right? Why you want to walk up, especially raining season? It takes a lot of discipline. So discipline, if you can change and discipline yourself for 21 times, you become a new normal. Just like today, government say now you go up shopping center, you don't need to wear a mask. You see a lot of people still wear masks because behavior bit hard to change. But of course, hygiene practice is still very key. Yeah. So for us, like we're used to it, doesn't matter. Even for me, sometimes I just put on. Why? Because it becomes a new norm, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the same thing, when we try to change to become a better person, it's not easy, but it's difficult. But it's good. You got to do it. And then you can be a better person, you can manage better, and then, obviously it's good for yourself, good for the organization.
As I said, you have to look at why you want to change. And the moment you find that answer, how is already in place.
Okay, so
So do we end the session now?
yeah, I think you're almost done. So you want to wrap up?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you everyone for joining us this afternoon for our brown bag
Thanks, everyone.
webinars. Sorry. Okay. And Sun Tzu Other World in Talent Management Retention. Will we? So thank you for joining us once again. This is Vivian signing out along with the speakers. Thank you.
Thank you all for joining.
Thank you.
Yeah, we
Bye-bye.
hope to have more participants next time round. All right, team, let's do a debrief, right?